Hey everybody, Onepeg here in my favorite Garen Thumb cosplay. Hope y'all are having a great day. So just a few short hours ago, Nikita hopped onto Reddit to give us a little current dev status update on all things coming up in 12.10 and beyond. The question always being, what is BSG working on in 2021? And here you go. Don't worry, I'll post a link for you all if you want to read it yourself. That way you don't have to waste your time. In fact, if you'd rather not deal with the recap, you can head right on into the comments section or look at the description, and there will be a link to this exact thread right there. Okay? Cool. And for the rest of you that, want to deal with my droning input or whatever, we'll go check it out. And here's the Reddit thread. Okay. Let's zoom in a little bit. For the people in the back, held a lot of increased player counts after New Year's events. Did a lot of stabilizing tasks on backend to prevent excessive failures. Replaced several backend servers to more powerful ones. For those of you wondering, peak viewership for Tarkov ever was on the 8th of January. We had over 2,400 streams running on the 8th of January and over 441,000 concurrent viewers. Not bad. We banned a lot of cheaters, more than 40K from the start of the year. Banned texture/hack files, added detections to new or previously undetected cheats, also with the help of your cheater reports. So I've actually unfortunately, I've known about this one for a little while. What was going on with this, the texture hack files thing? For those of you that don't know, okay, I realize everybody's got different levels of education, but just in case y'all are wondering, the way it worked was they could unpack the shader files and the texture packs that were inside of the game files via, Unity or whatever else. They would pull them apart and they would modify them. They would make walls transparent. They would make character models glow. They would add little, dangly things on the character models, whatever. Stuff that would show the skeletons of the character models through walls. And it wasn't ESP because there wasn't any injecting of anything into the actual executable file for Tarkov. And what they would also do is they would make sure that the texture files themselves were the exact same size as the original ones. BattlEye, when it goes to scan, looks for discrepancies in file sizes as part of its protocols, which it wasn't seeing. And since there weren't any differences in the file sizes, there was nothing to flag, and the game was legit. And this has unfortunately been going on for years. It just became super prevalent over the last couple of months. Like anything else, once it becomes popular, then it becomes caught. And now, thankfully, they've got a way to detect it, and they've nailed it. I don't know why it took this long. I figured this would be something that they would react to a lot sooner than now, but, what can you do? Now, in addition to this, he goes on to say they did a lot of balancing changes, economy changes, weapons mods changes, decreased camera recoil, new crafting recipes, etc. In case you were wondering, the weapon that got the biggest buff on camera recoil appears to be the MPX. So use that information for whatever you will. Now, obviously, I've been reporting on all of the weapon mod changes and all of the economic stuff and all of the new crafting recipes and all that. So, if you've been watching this channel for a while, you're up to speed on all of that. If you haven't, go back and watch a couple of videos. Tested the fuel shortage scenario and got a lot of info needed for dynamic economy events automation. No one knew that the fuel shortage scenario was a fuel shortage scenario. We just knew, or at least I did, and reported on that the spawn rates for fuel went way, way down, and the prices for fuel on the traders went way, way up. In fact, there were fluctuations where it was above 155K at one point, just for a large can of fuel. I guess this is what they meant by that. Plus, they also killed the stocks of fuel cans on things like Jaeger. I personally didn't feel it that much because I tried to at least be relatively smart about turning off the power whenever I left the hideout, and you guys should probably still look at doing that, but maybe this means that they're going to readjust the fuel back. I can tell you it hasn't been yet. Maybe they will later on today. I don't know. Overall, we got a huge feedback on everything related to the game, which helped us to do further planning, worked out the plans for 12.10, and drafted a general plan for this year. So here's what's coming up. Working on the 12.10 patch, which will contain cumulative changes and fixes. QoL improvements, network fixes, optimizations, AI fixes, a couple of medium features. More detailed information will be in the next Tarkov TV Live. By the way, the next Tarkov TV Live will be in 2 days. As of the recording of this video, 12/29. It's coming up a couple of days. So if you want to see that live, I'll be restreaming it. I'll be live at the time. You guys can come by and hang out. Working on different network/netcode improvements to further reduce lag, desync, disconnects. Some of the changes may require ETS testing. The ETS is the test servers, which are down at the moment. They haven't brought them back up yet. for some more testing. But if you guys want to be considered for the ETS, right through the launcher, you can apply for it. And I would encourage you to do that because some of the stuff that you get to test is pretty cool. The whole jumping thing that has been changed now to where like your feet kind of catch on ledges and you can't Superman jump as easily anymore, that had been tested for months on the ETS servers. So sometimes you get some pretty cool stuff. You know, and they give you cool buffs. Like you get to run around with like max endurance and strength and stuff and have moon boots and sprint forever. Started to work on the pretty big list of audio sound fixes, so that'll be nice. Unity 2019, right? We know that they're moving to Unity 2019. All things Unity 2019 will be better for us all, right? Continue improving back-end infrastructure. Remove bottlenecks, additional needed optimizations, okay? Ballistic settings of all the objects on locations. Door banging has become a thing that is available or more widespread now. They reduced how much stopping power doors have. And then there was a Reddit thread a little while back where there was a question about whether or not we would be able to see that with other surfaces. You know, like chain link fences, for some reason, seem to be able to refract bullets a whole hell of a lot. What they're working on, apparently, is improving, fixing penetration stuff, ricochet chance correcting ballistic colliders. Hopefully, that also means that they will be modifying something having to do with fragmentation chance as it applies to penetration. For those of you that are newer to Tarkov especially, any bullet that does not have at least 21 penetration will not fragment. Okay, I want to say that again. If a bullet does not have at least 21 penetration, it will not fragment. All right, so things like rip rounds and, you know, buckshot that has 100% chance to fragment doesn't actually fragment because for whatever reason, the penetration resistance of stuff like skin is a value of 20. So there you go. Working on factory expansion and factory boss. I actually had tweeted that I thought this was going to be for 12.10 based on how this was laid out, but it looks like this is probably going to be later than that. We know that they were working on a factory expansion and a boss for factory because Nikita said something about it like 8 months ago. Obviously, the timeline's been slowed down because of the coronavirus, but at least now we know that we've got this coming. I would love to see what this looks like, especially now that all of the other maps, for the most part, have like volumetric lighting and have a lot nicer grass and stuff like that. And the textures are updated. Factory looks old and beat. Working on the numerous upcoming visual changes. One of the main goals of this year is to improve Tarkov's visuals. Interesting. Now, I'm not sure exactly what they mean by this. Maybe it has something to do with like the haze with the sun positioning and stuff, and everything gets crazily foggy if it's overcast. I would love to see that. Maybe they could even take care of that whole like glasses and face shields glowing in the fog thing that happens all the time. Working on the first iteration of scav Karma. Karma system good. Started working on the first storyline quest. See, now this is a little bit interesting to me because I thought that Nikita said that most of the quests for the storyline stuff were kind of done. Maybe it's more like scripted and there's going to be like cutscenes or there's going to be voiceover work. I don't know, but I'm wondering what he means by that. Continued working on Streets of Tarkov, obviously. Working on movement inertia model. Hey, most likely it will come on ETS servers first. So that I like. That is mucho needed. Like in my mind, that is like the thing. Like audio and inertia are like the things. For me, inertia is a lot. The jiggle peak stuff and like the in and out of door jams and door frames and stuff like that, like you're guessing at timing in a lot of the cases when it comes to people doing quick peeks. Started working on site's optics overhaul. So that's interesting. Okay, so I'm not exactly sure what this means, but if I was going to guess, I would say it has something to do with how they're scaled. You see, like, especially with zoom optics, it doesn't really happen with zero zoom optics, you know, like your collimators and stuff like that don't have any zoom with them. And I'm not talking about rendering. What I mean is when it comes to zoom optics, the scales that they use, like 1 mil on one scope is not the same as a mil on another scope when it comes to actually like measuring the distance to your target. If I have an EOTech Voodoo and the way that a person looks in an EOTech Voodoo at 100 meters is not the same number of mils as what they look like at 100 meters in a different scope. They are completely differently measured. So maybe they're looking at finally standardizing the scale of this. I can only hope. I'd also love to see them measuring out distance based on clicks. They're a little bit further away when you're trying to re-zero your gun. You do it based on clicks. So it's not a gun zeroed at 50 and 100 and 150 when you use different ammunition, and that changes every time. But that, you know, hopefully will come down the road. So yeah, I'm stoked. Looking forward to the podcast. Again, if you guys want to come and see the podcast, I will be live on the 29th for sure during podcast time. We will be rebroadcasting the podcast. And I'll be watching and listening along with you guys so you can get my reactions. You can get input if you want it from me, whatever. Thanks, guys, for coming and checking this out. And I'll see you in the next one, okay? Peace.